Oh, yay. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our 15th episode of Girl Like Me Live. Um, this is our first one of 2022. I'm so excited about this. I hope the new year is treating you all well. And for those of you who may be new to this journey, A Girl Like Me Live is a project of the project, and it is an interactive live streaming series, events, and health and wellness discussions and education among women living with HIV. Now, monthly, I, Sierra CC Coven, will sit down with different co hosts to chat about key topics in our community. In today's episode, I talk with Michelle Anderson about self stigma in dating. Oh, this is going to be a good one. I'm excited to be here, and I hope you are too. Michelle, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Michelle Anderson. I am a policy associate for the Afiya Center, and I am also a blogger for A Girl Like Me. I don't know what else you want me to say, but people might know me. I am also the formerly 2011 Miss Plus America, the first openly HIV positive woman to ever run for and win a national pageant title.
Well, go ahead then. Congratulations on that. So I want to know your affiliations with the Well Project. I heard you say that you're a Girl Like Me. A Girl Like Me blogger. How long you been blogging for the Well Project?
I've been blogging off and on for the Well Project. I think since 2011, I want to say, right, not too long after I won my title. So, but I've been in love with Krista even before then. So, yeah, I've been around. I've been Jenny around the block for a little bit with the Well Project.
I think we could do a whole live stream on how much we love Krista, right? But
Pieces.
Today we're going to jump into this self-stigma in dating. When I saw this topic come across, my email, I was like, yes, absolutely. Because how much does how I feel about myself affect the decisions that I make? And as I begin to speak a little bit more, you see that you're not the only one, experiencing maybe some negative thoughts or anything when it comes around HIV. What are your experiences with self-stigma in dating?
So some of the experiences that make it complicated, I would say, to dating as it relates to my own, how I feel about myself, that internalized stigma, is that it's always scary to, for me at times, to share my diagnosis, especially if I feel that it is a relationship that could potentially be serious. For me, it was like, am I going to accept me? Am I going to be rejected? Sometimes it may create some shame in me because, I don't want to put it on my social media stuff because I want to be the one to be able to tell my story. And it can be very difficult for me to negotiate being in relationships. You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost like I can't show up to be my authentic self because it's like my HIV comes before me. It shows up in the space before I do, especially after somebody knows that I'm HIV positive. So sometimes it creates a lot of shame. It makes it very difficult. It saddens me because even now, HIV is 40 plus years, here, and folk are still not educated on it and stuff. And I still hear some of the conversations that people are having about people who are living with HIV that, they shouldn't be dating, they shouldn't be having sex, and all that stuff. I'm like, hell no, I'm still fine. I still look good. I'm going to do all these things. But then that internalized, you constantly hear that. Sometimes it perpetuates that feeling of self doubt, that feeling, that insecurity that I have about my diagnosis.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've looked to those around me for a lot of support. I felt like for a long time that I didn't need anyone else to accept me because my people accepted me. So if I stood on the top of a mountain and shouted it out, I didn't need one more person's acceptance. And a couple weeks ago, a close a close person to me, they had been involved with a person who was living with HIV that did not disclose their status. So it came back around, although they've been consoling me for the entire diagnosis. Now it comes out because they're angry and they go, yeah, and how could they treat me like that? They over there living with the package and all of that. I was like, yo, but you've been supporting me this whole time. Is this how you really feel? It made me go ahead, go ahead.
Yes, because that comes up too. They, for whatever reason, people think that it's okay to attack me especially if I'm in a relationship and you say that you accept my diagnosis, and then to come to bring it up and weaponize it against me. That has happened so many times, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm, and but you still, I almost cuss.
Take your time.
I almost cuss. But you still messing with me. You still sleeping with me. You still in my bed. So what's that say about you? You know what I'm saying? And that is so true. A lot of times people do that. And then here's the thing. I don't need to have folk in my life to accept me, right? I desire to be in relationships with people, right? But I don't need you. And understand, just because I'm living with HIV doesn't mean that I have to take whatever comes my way. Because no, I refuse to do that. So yes, you are absolutely, girl. Yeah, boo bye. Miss me with all that. I wish you would. While you sitting up there talking about my HIV and your ass messing with me. So that says a lot about you.
Period.
I
so you
understand.
so you already, dealing with well, I'll speak from my experience. I already expected when I got diagnosed that everyone around me was just going to look at me a certain type of way, that I was going to receive this type of treatment. I had never really thought the impact of what I was feeling about myself and how those messages that I hear on the outside do affect sometimes how I'm feeling on the inside. Like, I don't know. I never thought that 13 years later, I would still be sitting here and be talking about how HIV could be impacting me. And I think sometimes as leaders, I don't like to accept that title too much, but people that are living openly, with their status and doing leading work, people think that you're always in a space of like being okay, or always in a space of coping healthily. And I can say for myself that that is not always the case. So many of my decisions that I have made, unfortunately, HIV has been at the forefront of it. Even I talk sometimes about when I decided I was going to have children. I thought I was going to be dead. I thought that I only had a little while to live because of all the ignorance that I had heard, previously in life. So it's like, okay, if I have kids now, which was my early 20s, and maybe I'll be able to see these kids graduate through school. And now here I am, 33, and I was like, dang, well, I could have waited a little while. It was that messaging that I was telling myself that allowed me to make such a strong decision at that point. And whew, oh my gosh, sometimes I have to calm my thoughts down because it's a lot going on in here. So when it comes to dating, have you ever noticed, have you dated, down or lowered your expectations ever because of your HIV status?
Hell no. will not, will not, but one won't do, the next one will. I'm just not, I just, well, early on I did. I felt like I only should date men who are also living with HIV. And that's traumatizing too. So damned if I do, damned if I don't,
Wait, talk to me about that. How was that traumatizing?
because then they're going through their shit about being diagnosed with HIV. They're going through mental health, their mental health issues around that, and their own acceptance that for whatever reason they don't treat me well. And I feel like I deserve to be treated. That's just too much. I'm not willing to take on all of that. Hell, I got my own stuff I have to deal with. So dating HIV positive men just did not work for me at all. At all. And I tried it twice. It did not work. It did not work. And so I was like, you know what, Michelle, you understand your value and your worth, because that's one of the things that I could not grasp. I didn't know my value and my sense of worth. I thought that HIV took that away from me, and I operated in that. But today I know my value and my worth, that HIV is just a very small facet of my life. Like I say this all the time, and it does not have to dictate the outcome or the relationships I've had with other people. And so for me now, I date like any normal folk would, person would date, with seeking in relationships and stuff. I'm 51 years old, so it's not just about love. It's about companionship. It's about being able to be supported in the work that I do, understanding that I work long hours. The typical woman stuff that happens in relationships. And if it comes to the point to where I share my diagnosis with someone and they're not accepting of that, cool, we friends. That is okay. I can't even be mad at you, because there's some things I won't accept in a relationship too that I'm just not gonna do. So I got you. I feel you on that. I really do. I have a funny story to tell, but I'll tell you that later.
I sure want to hear it too.
Well, I'm going to say it. So,
Go ahead.
so, so this person, there's some things I won't accept. So I get where people are coming from, right? To each his own. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. But even someone came to me, and they were like, I told him, he was cool, and everything. We was going out on dates, we was kicking all this stuff. And he said, I told him, about my diagnosis. He said, oh, that's fine, because, I had chlamydia and gonorrhea. And I said, oh, that was a deal breaker.
Wait, what made that a deal breaker for you?
Because I already got HIV. That's why.
Got it.
But we friends now, you know what I'm saying? So
And I think that is so mature of you. Like, I don't see me being nobody friend after they rejected me. I'm not that mature, Michelle.
it's
How
not,
do you
it's
do
not
it?
about me.
Share with me.
It's not about me. It's about them. Period.
Mm.
That it's not about me. It has nothing to do with me. And I have to respect their, I have to understand that. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And that's okay. Everybody ain't there yet. Luckily I've been able to meet somebody wonderful that accepts me. All of me. And that was the thing for me about relationships. It's moving past HIV and just seeing me for who I am and what I bring to the table. Just that.
I love that. I don't think I aspire to be to that level of maturity because rejection just does something to, I don't know, it hurts and it
It hurts.
stings and I don't want to be there. So
It
if you
does.
rejected me, I'm gonna let you sit over there. But I aspire because that is so important what you just said. It is not about me.
Mm-mm,
It's
it's
not
not
about
about
me.
me. Mm-mm.
Okay.
And understand what one won't do, the next one will. understand,
Period.
but it took me because I was there with you once. That hurt and the rejection, not wanting to be able to share because people can't live without water and love, period, and stuff. And it's trauma and it's re-traumatizing because then you go back to that the day you were diagnosed. Where every time you're rejected, you go back to that day you were diagnosed. And so it does take something away from you. But eventually you just gotta just understand again that HIV is just this small. It's not, it doesn't have to facilitate anything that's going on in my life. And it's by my choosing and nobody else's. My choosing.
Oh my gosh. I love this already. Yes. I hope an hour is long enough. Okay. So you mentioned something about shame, which I wanted to go back. And preparing for these A Girl Like Me live events, we ask our cast members to provide some input. And this one came from Bridget. It was she said she saw a line from a poem once that said, "Shame is the lie someone told you about yourself and you believed it."
Yes, I heard that. Yes, ma'am. It sure is. It sure is. We pick up other people's bag. That's their stuff. It don't have to be my stuff. I don't have to be in acceptance of that. And I choose not to be. Is it hard to get to this point to where, you're comfortable living and discussing HIV and on this dating thing? Not all the time. It's not always comfortable. It's not. But it's a conversation that needs to be had because see, at the end of the day, even if they don't want to be in a relationship with me, that's okay because that's my time to educate them on HIV, that period. And that's what I always do, and I do. And so that shame starts to dissipate because I refuse to continue to believe the lie that other people say. So the more I have conversations with people who still to this day don't understand HIV, the more easier it is for me to feel good about me.
Absolutely. As you were talking, I'm just thinking, does it get different when you get a little older? Because as I'm noticing, and it could just be the area that I'm in, but the conversation makes it to sex so quickly. I met a guy, I was standing outside maybe the Chinese store one day, and he comes up, he wants my number. We exchange numbers. The first conversation, he goes straight into sex. And I couldn't understand, yes, couldn't understand how we got there so quickly. And as when something like that happens, I definitely use that as an opportunity to educate because you don't know me, I don't know you, and you're just out here offering your penis. And I don't want it. If it's that easy, I sure don't want it.
Yeah.
Um is does it get different? Like do people actually date? Like that's a thing. It's not just
Child, they get older doing the same shit. They get older and they still think that's cute doing. And then I use my HIV to burn them off.
so then you weaponize it. What y'all doing? Okay, let me unpack that.
Run as fast as I can because it ain't gonna get no better. Oh, I got HIV. Now what?
Please leave. Look, see, that's horrible. I have definitely been there too. Oh, we are something else. I
Yeah,
tell you.
yeah.
Okay.
Be real quick.
What about you
Hello,
equals you?
hello. Oh,
Stop it, Michelle. Okay. Okay. Wait. So this came from Joe.
okay.
So she says that she's twice divorced. Both of her partners are HIV negative. Now the question is it so difficult for a man who is not HIV positive to understand a woman living with HIV? As in, there are times she is fatigued and needed just a few minutes of catnip. There are times when a woman may not follow the rules of the house to the T. So, did you understand?
Like,
Mm.
say that again. Like how I think that is training.
Tell me more.
I think that if you're involved in, because I've been twice divorced too. And so for me, I think it has a lot to do with coming in and laying it all on the table. Talking, having this conversation, not only about, your diagnosis, but what this relationship is going to look like for you. What do you want out of this relationship? Because you don't just talk about HIV and then there's that. You talk about all the other stuff that goes along with it. What's your deal breakers? Negotiation. How we gonna manage this relationship? You know what I'm saying? So I think laying it all down on the table. This is what um, I'm needing from you, and then having that conversation. Now, what do you need from me? So it's about having a open conversation. So then, when you do get, we get fatigued and all those things, then he knows how to operate in that. He can be more supportive. And in the same breath, when I'm not feeling well, I'm still supporting him and lifting him up and letting him know that I'm still there with him. You know what I'm saying? So
You sound like love. I hear that.
I
You sound
love, I love hard, and I love deeply. And so I'm the protector of my love. So everybody don't deserve that, HIV positive or not. Everybody don't deserve my love. So I'm very picky in who I choose to allow myself to love, because vulnerability, of being vulnerable to people, is so hard. It can be draining.
it's yes. Yes,
Mhm.
draining. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. Just had a flash of all different types. Draining is a great word.
Yes. Yes.
Krista asked in the comments, or we hear a lot of questions about serodifferent or serodiscordant couples relationships from both people living with HIV and those not living with HIV. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? You've talked about you've been in relationships with men who were living with HIV. So you've also been in relationships with men not
Mhm.
living with HIV. What what was that like for you?
Um, normal, normal relationships. I was married to someone who wasn't positive and stuff, and so those relationships were normal. There was times I did get out of the marriage because there were times where my HIV was weaponized and stuff. And so I knew, and by then I knew that my value and my sense of worth was so important to me that I was refusing to continue to stay married, continue to be in a marriage that didn't support my needs or didn't support me and stuff. So, after that, just being in relationships now that I'm dating again, because prior to that, the dating I was in, I took time out for me to get to know me. After my marriage was over, I needed to go to damn therapy. Shit. I had to, because I was like, I lost all sense of myself. And I did. You asked me a question. Did I dumb myself down? I did in that marriage for the sake of my marriage, because I didn't want to end a second marriage and be ashamed that that second marriage ended. So I was willing to do whatever I could to make the marriage work. But when I realized it didn't benefit me, I had to move on. And so now, because of what I experienced in that marriage, I refuse to experience that same thing in relationships. Right. And so to this day, even though I have this person in my life who understands my HIV, understand that I ain't finna take no shorts, understand that we're going to have a adult conversation about what we're trying to get out of this relationship. And those are the kind of things that I've had that's been different for me dating men who are not positive, because during that time I'm allowed to be myself and educate him at the same time, like about around everything. You equals you, all those things, or just the fact that I'm 51 years old and I'm going through menopause, and sometimes she be dry.
Yo, okay, since we're here, we're
You
here.
know, so it's normal conversations. It's really nothing different. It has to be. It don't always have to be HIV related. Hell, we got that out the way. Now here's some other stuff that's going on.
Absolutely. I love how you framed it because HIV is one piece. I haven't even thought about it drying up yet, but we're in a different part right now, where is I'm learning to relearn my body right now
Mm-hmm.
after having a baby and
Mm-hmm.
not looking the same way I did before I had that baby. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't whether HIV was here or not, I just don't want to deal with you or
Right. Period. I'm having hot flashes. Move around. You know, I'm irritable. I'll get hit you up later. Yeah, it's normal, just normal shit.
yeah,
HIV doesn't change relationships. How I show up in
yes,
relationships unless I allow it. Period. It just don't.
yes.
Period.
A while ago you mentioned something about when you disclose or when you tell someone about your HIV status. That is always a question as an advocate that I get asked, and I know that my way isn't the way for everyone. So when do you know is the right time to share your HIV status with someone?
For me, is when I'm feeling a connection. I don't just go full on in relationship and immediately like say, hey, you know, because that person could be a seasonal person. Everybody that so I categorize folk. Everybody that come in my life is not there to stay. So you have people that you friends, seasonal folk that come in and out of your life. And every time I share my diagnosis, I can't get that back. Right. And so, and again, you still have, even though I can say it, there's still some emotion behind it. There's still, you can't get that back. And so for me, I'm very strategic in when and how I share my diagnosis because I think it's important that, and this it was never done for me. He never told me. I was in a relationship for 2 years and he never told me. And that was the driving force behind me how I share my diagnosis because I don't never want that to happen uh, to anyone else that I'm involved with, right? And so I just typically just wait. If I feel like okay, this is gonna get interesting, I'm probably gonna sleep with him. Probably ain't gonna be no relationship, but you
He
know,
probably gonna get some.
I
So
probably
it's
just need
probably
to get dusted off a little bit.
I'm
I
laughing. I'm
might need,
crying this time with of laughter though. Okay,
yeah,
like
but I already done peep game. He's a seasonal person, but if he's just looking good and I need to rock with him for a little bit, okay.
cool. Okay, great segue into you equals you. You discussed that earlier. What can you tell us, Michelle, what you equals you?
I am so sorry. Y'all already knew when y'all got me called me to be on this thing that I ain't gonna be right.
This is great. Go ahead.
Got the demons, she like keep popping up. But you equal you is it means undetectable equals untransmittable, right? And so for us, so what that means is I have an undetectable viral load, and it's less likely I would transmit the virus to people I choose to be involved with. In a nutshell.
I think the amazing part of you equals you is that we can say that we can't transmit it because I've spoken about this before. How when I first got diagnosed in 2008, I was 20, I was still in college and I was still doing a lot of, fun, wild things. And having to have that conversation with someone of, oh, I'm taking my medicine, but there's still a 2% chance that I could transmit HIV to you. That sounds so much different,
Yeah,
and
it does. It does. It does. Yeah, because
then
I was like, what? Yeah, it does.
a 2% chance. Like, who wants to take a 2% chance? Any
Right.
chance, any risk.
Right.
So you equals you. I felt like that made my dating go so much differently. Like now I could go out here with this confidence and be like,
Mhm.
I've been
Mhm.
taking my meds, I'm undetectable. I can't transmit anything to you. And it just gave me such, an air of confidence. And I'm grateful, for that knowledge, for that information that we are
Right.
a part of a people that can share that. Because, oh Lord, 2%. Before I was positive, if you would have came to me and said that there were any chance, to me, 2% sounds like
98%. It do sound like 98%.
zero. Like, yes, I can do this. Let's see. It was a comment that popped up from Tonya. I want to read this. She said, my biggest problem is getting out there again and how to tell someone who isn't pos. I've been single totally by myself for 15 years. Now I'm too comfortable with being by myself and don't want to be with anyone. I love being by myself, but also scared to start dating. Who?
Baby, 15 years? Baby, it is time to get out there and start dating again, Tanya. Like for real. And a lot of that's going to start with you, and how you perceive your HIV diagnosis. And this is a great conversation because what is your self-created stigma? What does that look like for you? Because a lot of times we kind of get in the way of being able to seek joy, to live in joy, that we oftentimes feel that we don't deserve it. We don't deserve to be loved. And that's part of that negative talk that we sometimes say in our head. We blame ourselves for becoming HIV positive. We sit and we think about, I just need to be by myself. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of not having someone in my life who loves me, who treats me good and all that. That's a lie straight from the pits of hell. I deserve all the love that comes my way, right? I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be in a relationship, and so my advice to you is to get out there and try. Nothing beats a failure but a try. Just get out there and see what life has to offer. Because 15 years, girl, shit, I'm barely making it. And it's been two. Baby, 15 years? Mm-mm. Ty, I'm gonna have to meet up with you and take you out.
I be seeing your social media too. You look like you be having a lot of fun out there.
I do live in my best life.
Yes, all dressed up and made up and all of that. I want to do that.
You can and you
I
will
can.
and you should.
Okay. All right.
I got you,
I'll give Zuri a couple more months. Yeah, we gotta link up. After all of this mess is over,
baby.
we gotta link up. So
Baby,
excited. Like I feel so encouraged right now. I know that was for Tanya, but I feel so encouraged
get out
hearing.
there, enjoy your life. HIV is just HIV. It's a diagnosis. Period. It's a diagnosis. You don't see people out there with diabetes. They still out there kicking it. You don't see people. You see people out there who if bodily challenged,
What is that? Unpack that.
fat challenge, like
Okay.
going
Bodily
all that
challenge.
shit for no broad.
Oh
We
my God.
living our best life. Dude, live your life, child. Life is waiting for you to find it. Live it. Live it.
I'm going back, scrolling back through some of the comments. We're missing so much because you got me cracking up over here.
Okay,
So
I'm sorry.
it's all right. Could do this all day. Bridget says, you equals you starts the conversation. Then that's why you gotta have that reverse conversation about what he has in his testing status. So important. So when he says he has chlamydia and gonorrhea, you can run like Michelle said. I'm kidding about that part. But that does bring up a more important conversation of what is your testing status like? Like I know what I got going on over
Yeah.
here. Do you even know what you have going on over
Right.
there?
Have you ever taken a test? Have you ever had any other, sexually transmitted diseases in your life? Again, it's a time to educate. It's almost, I don't want to say normalize HIV, but during this conversation, because we can't normalize it. I don't believe that we should normalize it because people are still dying. People are still not getting the resources they need to live and thrive with HIV. So, but having that conversation about your sexual experiences, who you sleep with, how you have sex, who you have sex with, when you have sex, why do you have sex, having all these conversations, so that nothing will come up as a surprise, and you can also negotiate what's going to be a deal breaker if there's something that you're not going to be able to handle. I've there have been people who reached out to me that knew my stats, but they wanted to be in a polygamous relationship. Hell no, I'm stingy. I don't share nothing with nobody. We good. You know what I'm saying? That's a deal breaker. No, I ain't gonna do that. For what, baby? I'm 51 years old. Sharing is not always caring. I'm a handful by myself. And if
Oh,
don't nobody know now, they know.
oh, whoa. Okay. So, okay, okay. Kathy said being confident in one's own knowledge of HIV is a good start, and it helps to have resources and links that we can refer to, which I think is great to the other person to read. Actually, that's how I've disclosed before or told the other person about my HIV status was I just handed them a pamphlet. I didn't even feel like having a conversation, didn't feel like, any of that. And I was grateful at that time that I did have a resource to be able to pass off to them. That was earlier in my diagnosis. I'm
You
sorry.
walk around with pamphlets.
No, it was in my house. I was at that time I was working at a AIDS clinic, and I just happened to have the disclosure pamphlet there, and he was there, so I shared it with. But no, I'm not walking around today. I'm able to say it a lot easier.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
able to. I could do that. No, I
Yeah.
ain't got no pamphlet.
Okay.
I'm, I'm dedicated, but not to that.
Have you ever had the conversation? Now is me interviewing you. Have you ever had the conversation where you trying to pick their brain prior to telling them about HIV? So you'd be like, when you have the whole sex conversation, and you say, "So how do you feel about HIV?"
That sounds like a great approach. Thank you for that. Never did that. Nope, I'm always.
It's better
I've
than carrying them
never.
pamphlets.
Thank you. I'm adding this to my toolbox. Never. Never. Okay. So
You,
picking their brain first. So depending on their response, then I guess I could see that conversation going one
mm-hmm,
way or another.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
See, we need your wisdom. I
yeah,
need your wisdom. I'm
yeah.
over here just doing stuff. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maria's right. In the early days, we did do that. We taken Sarah to score counseling to break
Oh,
it, to break, the fact that we're HIV positive, because we couldn't do it, like we were afraid to do it in fear of being harmed. And so we, back in the day, we went to Sarah. We took them to Sarah Discordant counseling, and you sit in this room and you sitting with somebody, a person, a counselor, whatever it is, right there, and then you share your diagnosis in that space, or you share your diagnosis. Now you're taking them to counseling to talk more about it, and so that helped prevent the harm and stuff. And it also made it easier that you weren't by yourself sharing your diagnosis, that there was somebody else in that space to kind of help negotiate that. But unfortunately, we don't have that like we did back in the day and stuff. And so I would tell anybody, when sharing your diagnosis, first get to know that person, because he may not be worthy of you sharing your diagnosis, especially if he's a seasonal person, especially if he's somebody that you don't see you yourself being in a relationship with. If y'all are going to be friends, be friends. You don't have to share with everybody, because again, it's draining and you can't get that back. It is emotional, and people just don't deserve you.
I love that perspective. I'm going to definitely apply some of these things to my life moving forward. Now, I'm in a situation now, so maybe the next situation I'll
Mm-hmm.
use
You in
these.
situationship.
It's definitely a situation, but we're here. So thank you so much for this. You keep saying, back in the day. How much live experience do you have?
20 years.
20?
Oh, wait, no, 22 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So
22.
thank you for still being here. Thank you so much for, leading a path for people like me to be able to, see that there is some hope. Because like I said, at 20, I thought I was going to be there by 40, or that my life was going to be completely over. So to see that I could make it some more years, that's really, really
Oh
exciting.
yeah, and then
And life feels good.
yeah, life is good. And believe it or not, when you hit 50, you're gonna have a rebirth.
50? I thought it was 40. So it's 40 and 50?
50, your body gonna wake up and she gonna say, "Hey, I'm here. What you gonna do about it?" That's what happened to
Whoa.
me. At 40, I had an awakening. At 50, she was like, "What you gonna do?" you know,
Well, that's exciting.
it is. It is. My whole life shifted. My whole life shifted for the better.
Oh, I love this conversation so much. Maria said, "Oh Lord."
To be ready, cause she gonna wake up. She gonna wake up. And the good thing about being in relationships and being with somebody, that understands you and stuff, and being able to have those conversations around sex, and being able to talk about it. One of the things that I share all the time, and I'm sure you probably gonna think it's funny. Even I have normal relationships. So, and if I'm mad at them or whatever, and you know how men is, they're talking about makeup sex or whatever. No, when I'm mad, she mad, we mad.
Period. It's connected. All of this is connected.
We mad at you. stuff, you know, and stuff, and being able to say that, and be okay, and understanding, that some people just ain't there yet, but it's up to us to continually educate folks, even in the relationship with the person that accepts your HIV diagnosis.
Self-Stigma told me that my vagina was less valuable because it had HIV.
It did for me. It did. It did. It said the same thing to me until when I dealt with my own self-created stigma. Then I realized my shit is gold.
Is it?
It is,
Okay. Platinum.
and everybody don't deserve your treasure chest.
I think I'm just now getting that lesson now. I
Everybody
think I'm
deserves
really just coming across it because, I've even dibbled and dabbled with the idea of celibacy or abstinence. I didn't think, I don't know. It's just maybe there's so much trauma connected, period, to, the diagnosis and the abuse and all of that, that I have literally never given it a rest. And I always
it.
felt like it has to come with dating, even like you have to. Like, how can you separate dating and sex? And now at the age of 33, almost 34, I'm like, wow, I don't have to do that if I don't want to.
Right.
I
You
don't,
don't have to. Mm-mm,
oh,
mm-mm,
okay.
mm-mm. And I
Life is
don't have to be
something
in a
else.
relationship to have sex.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
I don't have to be in a relationship to have sex.
Nope, not that either.
I
But
don't have to.
and that is another piece for me. So stigma told me because I was not in a relationship when I contracted HIV. So me and my, sexually free ways is what got me HIV, is what self stigma told me. So I can't go back and do that stuff because then people are going to still call me those same names that I be calling myself because I got HIV from these actions over here. Yo, this brain be going through a lot. Okay. This, I
Mhm.
don't know who else's, but mine works overtime.
And you have to
Um,
counteract that. You have, it's you need to just, have that conversation. Yeah, yeah, I hear you, but I'm finna go. You know what I'm saying? Just like,
yeah.
you have to counteract that conversation. Like, no, no, that's a lie. That's a lie. Just because I was in a relationship, not in a relationship with somebody, doesn't mean that I deserve to be HIV positive. It does not. I didn't do anything wrong or different to become HIV positive. Nothing. I did nothing wrong. And I tell myself that all the time because somebody had to tell me. I didn't do anything wrong. Sex is sex. It is what it is. Everybody has sex. right? And so I didn't do how do I why is it that I deserve it? And so I no, you just tell you, girl, you got me just dumbfounded. Now that's the first time anybody's ever got me where I'm stumbling over my words when you said
I
that.
get it.
Because I love you to pieces, CC. Love you to death. But hell no, don't tell yourself that. Do not just counteract that thought and just say, no, I didn't do anything wrong. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you how I didn't do anything wrong. Shit. Let me, you know what I'm saying? This, I mean, it is what it is. And I'm going to continue to have sex. And I may have sex with somebody not in a relationship. And I may have sex with a friend. And I may have sex, you know what I'm saying? And I may have sex outside. And I may have sex in the back of a car. And I may have sex in a hotel room. And I may have, in somebody's house. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't
Hmm.
mean I deserve HIV.
Period. Oh my God, I love this conversation so much. How's the time going by so fast? We gotta do a personal call, okay? I
Okay.
need you personally. All right.
Okay.
So this is Maria's input. She says that her input about disclosure was like before you equals you. Disclosure was hard. She said, but I had a method to my madness. Therefore, I never rejected, thankfully. So I guess she was never rejected, thankfully. Now I just post about it continuously as an ambassador and send them to the Google, to the CDC statement, undetectable equals untransmittable. If they don't believe in the CDC, then I send them to the NIH, UNAIDS, WHO, Housing Works, health departments all over the globe, etc. It's easier to disclose now. I loved it. Like just that there are so many resources, as Kathy mentioned earlier, that we can refer people to,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to all be on you. Like, got a place just for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it don't have to be all on you. That's too much of a burden for me. I can educate people so far, but they have to take it upon themselves to educate themselves. And yes, I use resources. I tell them to go to, the CDC and NIH and stuff like that to really. And I said, don't go on the internet. Just be googling anything that says everybody put everything on the internet. Don't necessarily mean it's true. But here are the resources that you can go on and look and see for yourself. Don't take my word for it. See for yourself.
I love that. I used to, when like I was messing with a person for a while, I would take them to the doctors with me because I always felt like just me telling them, they probably thought that I was like fluffing stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
Krista said, and the Well Project. Yes, and the Well
Oh, of
Project.
course. Come on.
Great
Come on
resource.
now. Was it www.thewellproject.org? Oh,
.org. Yes.
there it is. Bam.
Yes, and the Well Project.
Of course.
I don't even know what I was saying anymore. My
I'm
brain is
sorry.
no, it's fine. Like this, I love this. I want to say everything. Let's see. Another thing from Bridget. Do you think self-stigma has roots in childhood/teen trauma that translates into self-stigma after diagnosis?
It perpetuates it. It perpetuates it.
Absolutely. I
If
know
you
in my
if
own
you
way.
Yeah, it perpetuates it. It's like one more thing. I growing up, I was molested. I've had a lot of sexual trauma, rape, all those things like that. And so HIV was just one more thing that said, this is what you get because you're bad. This because you deserve it. That's what I told myself. Because all these things happening to you, in some way, God has allowed this to happen because you deserve it, right? And so, and that was prior to learning about HIV and stuff. And but one of the things I tell people is, you know, deal with your shit. Go to therapy. Go to therapy. Don't just go to church because some people think therapy is in church. Go to therapy. Go to therapy. And start working on those issues that led you to an HIV diagnosis. Because here's the thing, all that stuff that happened to you led you to an HIV diagnosis. You had no control over it. No control. It was by design.
Oh my God. So I'm going to pull all of that together. So I had this therapist that I absolutely loved for like 3 years. And that's what we were doing was unpacking all of these things that happened to me, previously in life. And she said exactly what you just said in different words. She would always say that like HIV was at the tip of the iceberg, like you could see it, but there were all these other things under
Mhm.
the surface that led us there. So all the things as you're mentioning, like I'll even throw in like poverty and other disparities and living in the ghetto and all these things that led me to my HIV diagnosis. So by the time I got to HIV, it was like, damn, another thing on the
That was the
plate.
outcome. Yeah, just one more thing to deal with. Right.
Goodness
Mhm.
gracious.
Mhm.
And at a time where I was, I've been a bigger girl most of my all my life.
Mhm.
And coming out of trying to find myself and get my esteem and all of that. And I felt like I was finally in a good place. Had dealt with my last bout of like suicidal ideations and acting out on those. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my life together. And then here goes the HIV diagnosis. Like, well, dang, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
And just if I didn't love myself before, like now you got to, because I know that how I present myself to other people is how they are going to receive all of this. And if I go to them, all gloomy and doomy about it, that's how they're going to perceive me. And I just did not want that. So educating myself and definitely therapy has played a major part in me being able to move, forward. And then realize that HIV isn't even the main thing that's going on.
Mm. Mm-mm. That's just the outcome. Shit, you got all the other stuff underneath that iceberg that you got to deal with. That's the cause.
Yes.
That is the
Yeah.
cause. It ain't an iceberg until it is rooted in something, right? That is the
Yes.
cause. And so for me, being able to understand using that whole reproductive justice framework to really understand that a lot of the stuff that led to my HIV diagnosis is by design. All those systems of oppression that impeded on my life so that I could not live and thrive or catch a break led to my HIV diagnosis. Not, and all those other traumas that the rape and all this stuff, all that is by design. I had no control over it. And when people stop thinking that HIV is based on behavior and then start thinking that it's trauma led, then people will begin to understand how HIV, how somebody can become HIV positive. It has not, because trust and believe, if I had not been living in the hood, if I had not been on welfare, if I had not been uh, 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 if I had not been for not having a lot of the resources that I needed to be able to raise my children, I would have never dated that dude. If it hadn't been for not that trauma that I suffered and thought that I had no value, no sense of worth, I would have never dated that dude. And I wouldn't be sitting here having a conversation with you. But if I had all those things, if I had all those things for me, we wouldn't even be sitting here having a conversation. And I guarantee you wouldn't be sitting here either, because we wouldn't be having to talk about HIV like this, because it would have been gone.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Whoa, this is so deep. So we're getting, we're nearing the end, and I want to go back and address something from Tanya. I'll come back to the comment, but I think that how do you, after you've been out the dating game for so long, how do you even re-enter? Like, where do you start? What are your tips for someone? You said it's been 2 years. Wait, but you've dated within these 2 years.
Yeah. Don't get
Okay.
on don't get on them apps.
Why not the apps?
Baby.
What's wrong with the apps? That's where I found Zori's dad at, okay?
Okay, but It gets interesting when you get my age.
Oh no, this one interesting too. Please don't be misled. Okay?
Hey,
Should have deleted their drawer.
if you my age and you taking a picture with your shirt off, showing your taco meat, last if
That's what they be doing. Wait, you don't hear the young boys trying to talk to you?
all the time, I'm like, what? No, they no, they no, we ain't no. I have here lately. It's been a lot of younger gentlemen, and they be in their 30s. No, you not. It's not. We not being gonna be in no playpen. We are not. You ain't finna use me as a what do you call them things? Jungle gym. It gets real interesting on them apps though, for real. But just get out there. Yeah, I say get on the app. Just yeah. Did Maria talk about yes? Like, to him, a girl. What am I gonna do with you? I will have you sucking your thumb and reevaluating your whole life at 25. I
Off
ain't the
the
one to play with, but just get out there.
app.
I get men and say, "Girl," and they be walking with their shirts off too. That shit is not. It is not. It is not. And you wearing gear.
Y'all hurting my head.
You wear
Wait.
why you wearing young men clothes? You 70, 80 years old. Go sit down. That shit ain't cute. So it gets interesting. It gets interesting as you get older. But no, just get out there. Just get out there. You gonna win. You gonna win. You gonna miss.
Like,
Just
do
get
you go
out
to the
there. Have fun.
supermarket? Do you go to Home Depot? I heard that suggestion before. Like on a Saturday morning, they said they get up and go in there.
But Home Depot ain't never worked for me because I always get some old white men. I'll be so lost in Home Depot. Walmart. I just get out there. I go out. Like I'm finding the time. Like for me, it's good getting out of my comfort zone. Oh, you cried?
Yeah, I told you.
Going
Oh.
with Tyson, yes, big stomach and jeans. Hey, girl. And then they squatting. If you squatting by a car taking a picture, I'm swiping left.
Wait.
Your ass been
That's
taken.
not a pose that came from back in the day.
No, that's Pinterest.
Stop. Okay.
Okay, but no,
Portia said the dating pool got pee in it.
yeah, it do. It do. I mean, just
And
like the pool is not. There's not a lot to choose from, And oh, let me tell you one thing. And so here's the thing. And so then learning what I just learned is that it is okay. I can date successful men.
what?
I can literally date successful men. You know what I'm saying? Because I had that negative talk that when I did date somebody that was successful and I told them about my diagnosis, they weren't in acceptance, right? Because they were all about appearances or what that's going to look like to their friends and all this stuff like that, right? And so I was like, no, that's just one person. You get out there, there's somebody out there for you, right? And stuff. So I just get out there. So now I go to places that I know that I can meet a quality guy, that and it's okay, and you know, if it don't work out, it don't work out. But yeah, I just get out there. I'm going out this weekend.
I loved it. I hope you post a picture. I can't wait
I
to see what you're
will.
wearing. I'll be stalking. Okay.
It's a all white party.
Oh, oh,
Going out,
makeup going to be beat.
beat to death.
I
Fitting
can't
out, everything beat to death.
wait. This has been a wonderful conversation. Wait, no, before we go, Tanya want to know where. We realize we're not going to Walmart and not Home Depot. Sounds like you're going to a party. Is that where you're making yourself more accessible?
Yes,
Is like,
I go. People invite me out instead of me turning them down. I go out. with them. The last place I went to a club, I felt like I was in a meat market, but I went, and stuff, and clearly there was nothing there for me, and that's okay. So it's a win. So like go to where you think like don't go to church and try to find a man because yeah, uh, that's a whole conversation. Um, go I go out to like this weekend. I'm going to a jazz and old school brunch kind of get together, all white party. Places like that, and that's where I go. And find and talk and have fun. Maybe I'll meet somebody. Maybe I won't. Switch to slipper clubs, jazz spots, take yourself to dinner, all that. Yes, yes, Bridget, all of that. Places that you would not typically go and stuff. And it's time to experience life. It don't necessarily mean that I have to go out there just in search of seeking somebody. Hell, I just might want to take myself out because this year is a year of self love and
Period.
elevation and transformation. Enjoy yourself, love yourself first. Because if you don't love yourself, there is no way you're going to find that person that love you, because how you feel about you right now is how that person you're going to attract. Did I say that right? The
I
person,
get what you.
how you feel about who you are now is the person that you're going to attract.
Oh man, that is such a big deal. That is self stigma and dating. Oh wow, this was such a great
It
conversation.
was.
Oh my gosh, I think it could go on for another hour, but we're going to go ahead and end now. Thank you all for joining in on our 15th episode of A Girl Like Me Live with Michelle. That was fantastic.
I
Thank you so
enjoyed
much for
it.
joining
Thank
us.
you, lady.
We'll be doing A Girl Like Me Lives now. We'll be streaming on the fourth Monday of each month. So look out for us again at the end of February. And I can't wait to talk to you all again. So thank you once again, and y'all have a good one. Bye.
All right.